reason, bitch! I don't need to explain myself to you. And
what was the reason?
Right. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm actually really excited that you came back and I feel really special, so I just want to say thank you. Thank you all. And while I have you here, if you could please support my mission by hitting the subscribe button, liking my video, and sharing with a friend or two, I would really appreciate it. So a lot of people contact me with questions about law school, and one thing that I tell people is that some of the best advice I have received prior to even starting law school is to remember your why. Honestly, like, this is the realest piece of advice I have ever received, and when people ask me about it, it's the same piece of advice I continue to give on to others. It's like a gift, right? So if you are in any way interested in law school, then I would say remember your why, because sometimes it is all that you have to get you through. There have been days where I have honestly questioned, like, is this for me? I mean, like, I want to go outside and play with my friends, and I want to be in a relationship, and I want to sleep in without feeling guilty about it. But the reality is that I am sacrificing these things to become an attorney, to become a lawyer. And so my why is kind of what makes it all worth it, right? I'm not exaggerating when I say law school will try you. I mean, mentally, physically, and emotionally, just this practice is a lot to take in. You have to have a different level of discipline. If you don't have a poker face, you might want to get one. And you really have to be able to take defeat like a champion and move on like nothing happened. So I really think it is important to have a why and to meditate on that, because it will truly carry you through. I promise you, it does for me. My why is my purpose. My sole purpose for even coming to law school is to find a way to help my brother who was wrongfully convicted when he was 15 years old. And so I know I mentioned this a lot, but let me just give you like a piece of the backstory, right? So my brother Brandon, he was wrongfully convicted of murder when he was 15 years old. We went to trial twice. We paid for attorneys both times. The first trial ended with a hung jury. And by the second trial, my brother's co-defendant, the actual shooter, ended up taking a plea deal midway through the trial and was given 6 years for voluntary manslaughter. The prosecutor offered my brother a deal. She offered him 9 years in prison, but my brother refused to plead guilty for a crime that he did not commit. And that was even if it meant that he would spend significantly less time in jail. And I don't blame him. Like, to this day, like, I fully support my brother's decision. I fully support my brother's decision, and I stand by him a 100%. I mean, the only evidence that the prosecution had against Brandon was the word of a jailhouse informant who claimed to have watched my brother and his co-defendant plan out the crime, and then he decided to follow them as they proceeded to carry out the crime. But he didn't participate in the crime himself. Right. You know, so it's like, I have to be completely honest. At the time that my brother was fighting his case, I had no idea just how disturbingly flawed our system of justice really is. Even though my brother was not the actual shooter and ultimately was not even present at the crime when it occurred, the prosecutor argued that Brandon was an aider and abetter. And for that reason, he was considered just as culpable and guilty as the person who had actually committed the crime. The prosecutor did not care that Brandon was a child. She did not care that she was taking an innocent kid away from his family. Actually, you know what? Let me offer you a better visual of what I felt and what it felt like when the verdict for my brother came back and it was guilty. Check this out.
For God's sake, you're not sentimental in the least.
My sentimentality extends the length of a coin. Now, do you take this lot, Mr. Ford, or do you pass on them all?
Please. I will take the ones Platt and Eliza.
Sold, Eliza and Platt. Splendid.
We're not saying that from me.
Get her out. I will give you something to cry about, you goddamn right.
That's honestly how I felt. And it is my struggle every single day in law school. So yeah, I'm actually currently reading a book, and it's titled Mistrial, and it was written by Mark Garagos and Pat Harris. And these are two criminal defense attorneys who have actually handled some pretty high-profile defendants like Michael Jackson and Scott Peterson, right? And in the book, they have a section where they discuss prosecutors and how sometimes the celebration of being tough on crime can actually outweigh pure justice. So in the book, there's this quote by a former Riverside County district attorney. And the quote said that any prosecutor can convict a guilty man, but it takes a great prosecutor to put an innocent man in prison. I wholeheartedly agree. That is one of the struggles I deal with now, because the prosecutor in my brother's case did so much, created so much around Brandon and his situation in his case, that it makes it 10 times harder to try to get post-conviction release. But I mean, even beyond that, the prosecutor in my brother's case was so great that she is now a judge in a county not far from Riverside. And to be honest, like, that haunts me every single day. Like, I want to find a solution for my brother so bad, but with the way that certain laws and legislation are written and how courts are interpreting a lot of these statutes, they almost virtually support my brother staying in prison for the rest of his life, even though he's innocent. I remember when my brother was 9 years into his sentence, and he was just very depressed and angry, and he felt miserable because he would think like, man, if I had just took that deal, I'd be home. And so now, like, I'm 14 years in, 3 degrees later, and I still do not have an answer, and that kills me a lot of days. I have to read cases with fact patterns similar to my brother's case, and the decision of the court will be that for them to reverse the conviction, there's just simply too much justice. And so for that reason, they won't. And that's it. Too much justice. So you can only imagine how hard it is to get through days and class sometimes when I am constantly feeling defeated. And like, this is just a lot. And so this is where my why comes in. Because I feel like if Brandon can stand 10 toes down, going through the trials and tribulations of prison, being stressed out, missing holidays, birthdays, graduations, deaths and births of family members, then I could suck it up and finish law school and bring him home. So that is why I say, like, before you come to law school, get your why in order and meditate on that. Because sometimes that will be all you have. And on that note, this is why I need to get back to my books and study, because I definitely have a final on my face. So with that being said, I just want to thank you, and please do not forget, if you like my content and my story, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow my journey and some more, and if you can, share it with your friends, because sharing is caring. All right, bye.